So good afternoon, everyone. He is from Department of Crop and the Soil Sciences at Washington State University, and at Pullman, USA. And you'll know that he has done his M.Sc from Punjab Agriculture University in 1983, a gold medalist. Then also B.Sc in Agronomy from Plant Agriculture University and in 1981, and then the PhD from Kansas State University. And he is Professor Vogel Endowed Chair over there at Washington State University, and he will be telling you about Professor Vogel, that about his contribution in the wheat genetics. Apart from this, he has many honors. One of a few of this is the Junior Faculty Excellence in Research in 2000 in Nebraska University, and Sigma Outstanding Young Scientist Award in 2001. So I welcome him. Ask your questions freely. Just try to think that it's an interactive class. You should answer, you should ask all your doubts. Is it clear? And I think Professor Gill, he always try to spend maximum time with students wherever he goes. Very few time he spend with the faculty, and he knows the importance of students in the future, that how the students are our resources for the future. So I once again invite Professor Gill to come all the way to Mathura, and welcome.
Thank you, all the young students, bright students studying in a beautiful campus. There are a couple ways I can give a talk, and the first would be I'll just give a standard research talk. Half of you probably will be asleep and others will be thinking what your studies. I don't want to do that, okay? So the second option is I just give you a glimpses of what we do without going into too much of detail, and engage you in more of a question answer session or discussion, but there I need your help, right? So let's make it a very interactive and rather informal talk, so that you get some benefit out of this, and also if there are some questions in your mind, and it doesn't have to be related to the talk or biotech. It can be just general questions of any sort. And just a 2-minute meeting with one of your high officials, it's pretty clear that the college management is very concerned about your placement, right? And I am pretty vocal about my disappointment about what industrialist in India has done in biotech. That is nothing. I mean, I still remember about 15 years ago, I attended some sort of brainstorming session in New Delhi, and all the rich people were there, and they were bragging about how they are willing to put crores and crores and crores of rupees into biotech. And I think that made a lot of press, and then that got a lot of people interested in biotech, but then they did not follow through, right? So it's not really anyone else's fault, and then we don't want to go into government lack of vision, and that's kind of a messy topic to discuss, and you don't want to get that. So the biotech industry, I'm just afraid that India may miss biotech boom, just like we missed the steel boom. Then, although I realize it's easier said than done, but I will try to just articulate that don't think that others will making whatever. You need lots and lots of infrastructure. In biotech, all you need is a good idea, and most of you can start a very successful venture in your own homes. Just dedicate one room to that. So it's that simple, really, and I'm not just saying it. So there are a lot of opportunities like that, but you need good ideas, right? I don't want to keep going on with that, but we are living through very, very exciting times. Our lives will be changed for better in matter of only 5 to 10 years. We are not talking decades here, right? And I'm specifically talking biotech and specifically talking medical field. Okay? People are already talking about surgery being a thing of the past. I'm sure you all heard or read stories when the cure for something happening on your hand was cut your hand off. And we laugh about that, right? And we will laugh about the surgery, what we are doing these days. Okay? I just attended a seminar given by a very eminent scientist, Dr. Leroy Hood. And he is championing this what's called P4 medicine. Okay? What is P4 medicine? Not important what those 4 P's stand for. It's a preventive and whatever else. But most importantly, there's so much progress that has been made in understanding genes controlling human diseases and human health in general. Okay? Being specific, scientists have identified 106 genes. I have been talking about those 106 genes since I landed in India. And those 106 genes control most of the diseases in humans. Okay? So imagine or just a dream of this medical practice that is that you have something wrong and you just go to doctor's office. Without you knowing it, they draw a nanoliter of your blood, and in about 10 to 15 minutes, they come back with saying that don't do this, you have more chances of developing this in about 5 years, and so on and so forth. Okay? They have identified proteins that our cells release about 21 days before it becomes cancerous. We are talking single cell here. Okay? So we are talking about before cancer develops. We have identified genes that are involved in aging. Okay? Imagine if we can stop aging process. All right? So that gene was added to C. elegans. How many of you know what C. elegans is? Come on. What is C? Pretty much, right? Okay. So, what's the life cycle of earthworm? Only days, 7-10 days, something like that. So when that gene was put in the earthworm, this human gene, after 200 days, it is still going strong and young looking. Okay? So that is the excitement you have there that one needs to capture, right? In North America, they are already talking about that in next 10 years, every single human being will be sequenced. Genetic Janapatra coming on a flash drive or something like that when you go home with your child. Okay? And that will contain what type of food is good for your child, at what age this kid may develop this cancer, right? And all that information. Right? That is the excitement out there. Okay? So, and then in plants, situation is not any different, although like always, plant scientists are behind, as they should be, because there's probably 1,000 times more money going into human research than into plants, and even that may be understatement. But still, in plants, we all know what's happening to the population, right? We are already 7 billion, and in a very short period, we will be 8, and we expect by 2050, we will be how many billion? By 2050, what's the projection like? Who knows, that may be in your GATE exam. Yeah. So we may cross 10 billion, and 2050 is not far away. think of food. Where is the food going to come from, right? We talk about self-sufficiency in India. Government brags about we have 10 years worth of food stored. Okay? You add another 3 to 5 billion people on this planet, and imagine what would happen to food. We are harvesting 3 crops a year. We can't go on like this. Our water table is going down. We cannot keep up with what we are doing right now. We cannot keep irrigating the way we are irrigating. So we need special plants and special crops to be developed. Okay? And what are those special crops we're going to do? One of the projects I'll tell you about maybe in a little bit. We need to be able to grow the same amount of food in probably 1/10 of the time, right? Dreaming is easy and it should be done. So I dream about a wheat plant maturing in less than a month so that you can harvest say 4 or 5 crops in a year, and that's a good way to double or triple or quadruple the yields, right? And that seems impossible now, then, but what is biotech for then? If we are going to stay with the status quo, if we are going to do what we are doing now, then biotech is not needed, right? So that's what the challenge for biotech is, okay? Everything is possible, right? And you of all people should know that there is only one way to harvest or bring energy to this planet, and that is through plants, right? Yes, you can make solar panels and all. You go back, you will need some sort of energy somewhere made by plants to even make that. Okay? So think about this number. I think about it all the time. In any given plant, all the energy a plant harvests from sun, only 1% or less gets into biomass. Okay? Think about it. So of all the energy, so plants spend a lot of resources capturing that energy. It needs water and then fertilizer and whatnot. And then 99+% of that energy goes waste. Okay? Of that 1% or less that gets converted into biomass, no more than 50% get converted into food. Okay? For those of you meat eaters, you know the numbers when how much of that gets converted into meat, how much do we lose going through the animal system, right? So the question when I say this, that just improving photosynthesis efficiency by 1% will double the production in this world, right? People say, well, we have tried, it doesn't work. But I say, I guess we haven't tried hard enough, right? It should be possible. There's no reason why we cannot do that, right? And I know I'm going in all possible directions, and then eventually I'll come back to the topic today. But all these things, I want you to start thinking about these today, when you're all worried about placement and what's going to happen to your careers. I want you to keep this option in your mind, that there is so much potential out there. People will be desperately looking for trained individuals like yourself when this P4 or similar options become available. And we are not talking decades here. Sweden already invested an unbelievable amount of money into getting all of their population sequenced and getting P4 medicine on the books. So that may become the first country, and then in US it's happening already, right? So think about photosynthesis all the time, and think about the food shortage. Don't ever think you can just make your own little cocoon and be happy. If there are hungry people outside your house, you won't be safe for very long. We need to solve this food problem collectively. Otherwise, there will be no peace, right? empty stomachs don't think of peace. They think of getting fat, right? And I don't remember the exact quote, Borlaug's exact quote, but it is something like that, that you need to feed people first if you want some peace, right? Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about what we are doing in that direction. So my program is focused on addressing problems of cereal grains, mainly wheat. Okay, why wheat? That's what makes delicious bread, roti, and many other interesting things that can't be made with anything else. And as people are getting richer, the rice-eating people, they are switching to wheat. So we have a lot of reasons why to work on wheat. So what are we doing on wheat? I'll tell you a couple of stories. And I realize that you are all undergraduates, so I don't want to give you the boring scientific, heavy-duty scientific talk, but try to keep it simpler and interesting. So of course, we want to increase yield, but more importantly, we want to protect our crop. Okay? Every year, we lose half of our crop to diseases and other stresses. Okay? The stresses being rain at bad time, disease outbreak like this year. If you, I don't know, any of you ever go to a wheat field, if you have gone recently, you will see a yellow powder. That's a devastating disease worldwide, causing havoc. So we want to make those varieties resistant. Okay, and I'm not going to talk any of that. I have picked a couple different topics that may, what at least I think will be of more interest to you. And then depending upon what questions, what type of questions you ask, I may shift gears and talk about other things. And any comments, questions from you so far? Okay, that's all right. Yeah, we'll get to those questions eventually. Okay, so I want to talk about this gene. Name is in the wheat. Even the grass. So, how many of you have looked at grass carefully? Okay, you stop watering grass. What happens to it? It dies, right? It stayed dead for years. You water it again, it's back to life again, right? And then you just change the environment a little bit. You make the grass sense some tension or pressure. It will set flowers very quickly and survive that way. So there are a lot of wild. Rye is a good example. For those of you who don't know what rye is, it's not important. Okay, it is just one of the wheat relatives. Okay, in Europe they mix that flour in bread to make a little bit harder, more delicious for those people type of bread, which looks dark in color. So rye, you all know you're looking for, I'm sure many of you are looking forward to this hot weather, not, right? So it's coming 40-degree temperature, sometime more. And humans don't like it, plants don't like it either, right? And at 40 degrees, plant just shuts down most of this as if there was no problem, okay? And there are many grasses like that. They have so much potential at tolerating drought and heat, okay? We lose on an average about 20% of our wheat crop to high temperature. It takes only 2 days of 35+ degree temperature to cause that type of damage, okay? So we have related chromosomes or different chromosomes to pair with each other, okay? So that means when this gene is present, then if, let's say if these were Y chromosomes, they will only pair with Y chromosomes, not with wheat chromosomes or among each other. You remove this gene,